Hello, and welcome back to another brand new movie review as we continue on with Trilogy Month. If you're new here, in case you don't know what I'm talking about for Trilogy Month, for the entirety of this month, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'll be reviewing a movie in a particular trilogy. As you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I'm doing the Star Wars sequel trilogy this week. Last week, I did the Back to the Future franchise, and yeah, so the sequel trilogy. I'm not gonna lie, I hadn't even thought about like uh how I'm going to approach reviewing this because the sequel trilogy is one of the most divisive things within the Star Wars fandom. And yeah, it's going to be, definitely will struggle, especially for The Last Jedi, because to me, I've only seen the first, like, I think half of the film, less than half of the film. And I always meant to go back to it and finish it to get, to have my own opinion on it, which is what I'm doing now, which is why that'll be referred to as the Tales from my backlog. Um, but yeah, I know how toxic Star Wars fans can be when it comes to the sequel trilogy. Um, so talking strictly on The Force Awakens, it's a good movie, but it's also like dangling those member berries like so far in them. It's like, jingling a bunch of keys to appease the Star Wars fans. Like, hey, remember this? Remember this from that thing? Remember this thing that you love, growing up and stuff. So yeah, because I know like a lot of people were like super hyped the fact that we were getting more Star Wars movies, and we're actually going to see what happened after Return of the Jedi, because this is before the Mandalorian, before all of that stuff. So up until this point, the only like other Star Wars media that we had that was coming out was the Clone Wars, which I think might have been cancelled by the time this was in production. Maybe Rebels was still was a thing around this time. I'm not 100% sure because I know by this time being 2015, I wasn't that big of a Star Wars fan. The last thing I had watched Star Wars related back in 2015 by 2015 was the 2008 Clone Wars movie. I went to go see that in cinema. And then I tried to watch the Clone Wars animated series when it was showing on Cartoon Network. I think it got like maybe 2 episodes in before I just gave up because I just, I made it known on this channel. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, compared to when I was a kid. Um, do I still love the franchise? Obviously, it was something that I loved so much as a kid. But nowadays, I would class myself more as a massive Star Trek fan. Um, and that was the case around in 2015. So I didn't even go see it in cinema. I think I seen it 2016, like a whole year after it came out on just online because it's like, oh yeah, I forgot the new Star Wars film movie was out. Let me go watch it. Yes, it was 2016. I remember it well now because my then girlfriend at the time had just gone back home, and so I was like, I'm looking for something to do. Let me go watch the new Star Wars movie and see what it's like. And even back then, I was saying it's a good movie. I enjoyed it. It's just A New Hope, a remake of A New Hope, and it really is, Um, but there's still like a lot of deep cult references, that again a lot of callbacks to the original trilogy, um, stuff that I didn't grow up with the original trilogy. I grew up with the prequel trilogy, and I wasn't that big of a fan of the original trilogy. I made that known. It was the first trilogy that I reviewed during the first trilogy month. Sorry, I had to pause there because I had storage issues. I hadn't deleted a bunch of stuff in a while. So where was it? Yeah, it's basically A New Hope but remade. So what do I think of the characters? What do I think of Rey and Finn and Poe. Poe is not really in much of the film. You know, I like him, because just going off of what I've seen of him in this movie and Rise of Skywalker, because I have seen Rise of Skywalker, um, and he's all right. I'll have to see how things go for when I watch The Last Jedi, which that review will be out on Wednesday. Finn, absolutely love Finn. I think Finn is my favorite character, and he is so underutilized after this film. He really done so well. Um, especially holding the lightsaber, because in my head when the movie came out, I thought Finn was going to be the Jedi and that Rey was going to be, the Leia and Padme of the franchise. Um, but I was, obviously as things go on, I was wrong. It turns out Rey is the actual force sensitive one here. But technically Finn is as well. They just cut that out of Rise of Skywalker. And that is one of the biggest letdowns of this franchise, is the fact that they had no plan whatsoever with this franchise. They set some things up, and then so does Ryan Johnson in The Last Jedi, and then they spend the final movie just trying to undo all of that whilst wrapping up a franchise at the same time, to the point where they literally the TV shows and the other expanded media like um Bad Batch, Mandalorian, Ahsoka are trying to pick up the pieces that this franchise fumbled. It's explaining how and why Palpatine is able to clone himself, and stuff. And to be fair, they are pulling from the expanded universe, the EU, the Star Wars EU, because there were a bunch of books that were published um, outside of before we even got the prequels and stuff that talked about how Han and Leia's son did turn to the dark side and other stuff, and that Luke did try to have his own new Jedi Order type of thing. Um, but yeah, also seeing Carrie Fisher again in this film, I had the biggest smile. Carrie Fisher is definitely severely missed, especially now since it hasn't been that long since we lost James Earl Jones. So Ray, getting back to Ray, what do I think of Ray? A lot of people call her a Mary Sue. I don't see that. Especially in this film, I don't see that because the clues are there. The only reason why Ray is able to, do some jiggery pokery to the Millennium Falcon is she has spent years on Jakku, looking at these old Imperial stuff, learning how it works, in order to give it to Uncart Pluck to be able to get some food rations to live essentially. And yeah, that's how she knows how she's technical in that regard because she's been on this planet for years, and so obviously she's going to pick up a thing or two. She definitely holds the lightsaber well. The same with Finn. Um, kind of, Finn definitely gets overpowered by Kylo, very, very quickly. But to be fair as well to Rey, the only reason why she quote unquote won that battle was because, Kylo was injured. He got a bolt cock shot from Chewie after Han's death. Um, so that's the only reason why she got the upper hand there. So is Rey a Mary Sue? Not in this film. Not in this film. Don't know about the other two films. I'll of course come to that conclusion as I watch them. But for me, she's not a Mary Sue in Force Awakens. Like I said, I do enjoy this film. It's a good movie. It's a good start to a prequel to a sequel trilogy that fumbled so hard after this. Not having a clear vision on where this trilogy was going, um, was what is a massive letdown for the franchise. And again, like I explained, it's to the point where, other projects have to pick up the pieces to explain how we got to where we are with this sequel franchise. Am I looking forward to the new Daisy Ridley trilogy? Yes, I hope it's handled well. I hope she gets a decent enough chance to not necessarily redeem herself, but to prove to the fans that she can do what she has done in this trilogy. So yeah, honestly, I do love this film. It's a good Star Wars film. It's a good remake of A New Hope, essentially. Um, and I do like our characters. It's also weird looking at um, a young Adam Driver here because he was 30 when this was being filmed. I had to look this up. He didn't look 30. He looked 17 in this movie. Like, how can you be 30 and look 17, at the same time? I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to looking at Adam Driver as he is now, as the years have gone on, because one of my favorite movies of his is Marriage Story, which is another one I need to actually try and track down to add into my collection. But anyway, I'm rambling. I have to now go stitch this together with the beginning part of this. Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm excited to give this trilogy a proper shot and not just echoing what I'm hearing online. I want to formulate my own thoughts and opinions for The Last Jedi, and see whether my opinions have shifted for Rise of Skywalker. Because when I watched Rise of Skywalker after that went out onto Disney with my cousin, I thought it wasn't that bad. So maybe my opinions will have changed when I get to go to rewatch Rise of Skywalker as well for Friday. So if you're interested to see what my thoughts and opinions are for those other two Star Wars films, like I said, those videos will be posted Wednesday and Friday of this week. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I shall see you all on Wednesday for my review of The Last Jedi. I'll see you all next time.